Welcome back to the LCS Lounge. We'll be doing Champ Select here in just a minute, but we got to talk about Emenes. You just watched a compilation of his kills because, my God, this guy has hands.
Yeah, and what a story this is, actually. Cloud9 7-2 with Diplex subs in Emenes, who has 26 solo kills in 20 Challenger games in NACS, but also he's a player who has been playing professional League of Legends for 5 years, been on 8 different teams across 5 different regions, and you do ask yourself, why has he moved around so much?
Yeah, a lot of it, it's even been said in the preseason conversation that we'll end up talking about. It's just literally the internally, apparently, allegedly, just toxicity. And also on top of that, just like, he is somebody that really wants to, at least it feels like, play the right way. That seems to be like the ultimate takeaway, is like, he wants to play a specific way. And maybe the past hasn't been like those past situations. That's what Jack has said in his previous video, like haven't worked out well for him. And this is going to be different. And Cloud9 as a team have done this properly before. Like they talked about how in the past with Jensen, when people weren't willing to take a chance on him, it worked well for them. And so that's a lot of, I guess, a gambit for something that they think is going to work.
Yeah, I mean, he's an insanely talented kid. You can see how excited people are to play with him, just to watch him. It's been like, we were talking about how, despite this kind of concern, it's like universally positive sentiment around the move. It's like, it's risky, but I can't wait. And so it is something that the team itself has acknowledged. Actually, in the offseason, C9 put out a video where a portion of it was talking about this. Take a listen.
What exactly are the possible rumors that people say about Emenes that could be worrying, you could say?
Inting in scrims, inting on stage.
Well, that's respectable, though. I mean,
staying
I kind of
up all night doing things. There is this toxicity and rumor, and it was something that we knew about before we even talked with him. But everyone said, this kid is insane. Like, look at his VODs. His mechanical skill is really good. If there's any team that's going to be able to figure it out and get him on the straight and narrow, it's going to be Cloud9. You should talk to him. So Emenes goes, hey, Blaber, can we just do a one-on-one conversation right now? And so they get on, and speaking full English, just the two of them, no translator whatsoever, had a really good conversation about where do these rumors come from, what happened, and Blaber got to an understanding of why there were frustrations with his past teams, and understood that Emenes really regretted the way he exhibited his frustration, and everything he said was legit. Like Blaber felt like, okay, this guy's being real with me. He's being real with his shortcomings and his huge desire to prove to us that he can be a good teammate. And he said, put me on the academy. Let me like have my shot to prove I can be a good teammate. Let me show you I can be a good player. And Blaber getting off that call, he's like, oh, I actually like this kid. He was literally shocked. He's like, after talking with him, his English is good and I liked him. I believe in him. I think we should get him. Let's put him on our academy team. And I think Blaber had to basically convince all of us that we liked him, and he's continued to speak with them, and we're gonna take a gamble on this kid.
I've watched this a few times, and the most interesting thing to me is how convinced Blaber was after that conversation. And also how this seems to have been somewhat in C9's plans from the start, right? And the other super interesting thing is that this change almost seems player-driven. Because to your point, Jatt, usually when changes happen, it's the staff making it, right? Or it's like, oh, we're having someone underperform. C9 is doing super well, and this seems like internally driven to reach a next unseen level. That's the thing for me too, is like right now they are in second, third, fighting for their lives to stay ahead of EG, wondering if they can take down FlyQuest in the postseason and best of fives as they start getting Ayla back and teams are starting to make that kind of like final push. I think for them, it's like the perfect trial period to try and bring in this more mechanically gifted player in Emenes, see what he can do, see if he can make some moves happen against Gori, who's pretty well respected, it sounds like, around the LCS, and give you this kind of new angle to your team that's currently lacking, that just like the early laning phase wasn't being brought by Diplex. And we know how much, like you were saying, Blaber loves having aggressive mid-jungle 2v2s.
Yeah, I was just about to hit on that. That Emenes is somebody that, even though his champion diversity in Academy, or at least in Challenger Series, I always say this a lot, has been really quite strong, like pretty large pools actually, even playing the Lux like I mentioned at the top of the show. Like he's a great assassin.
Yeah.
His Akali, his LeBlanc, working alongside his jungler, Tomio and Challenger League. And so like it's nice to be able to see how he can work alongside Blaber. That kind of had that with Perks, but I think this could be better. And so it's really fun to see that they get an added dynamic with Cloud9.
Wow. He won MVP with Perks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wow, that's a bold statement.
There were some tough periods in regular season. Like that was the biggest like issue, and I feel like this is going to be something that if he is as talented as people think, and of course what we've seen in the Salt League, then that's what we're looking forward to.
And one just last point as we're getting into Champ Select about Emenes, I do find it super interesting how looking at perception and reaction to this change, it's a 7-2 team that is subbing in a player who's been on 8 different teams in 5 regions in 5 years, and it seems like the vast majority of people are like, yeah, I really understand this decision. So it just shows you how much people respect the way he's been playing in challenges.
And they're doing it against the hottest team in the LCS right now, Golden Guardians, on a 5-game win streak. It's the longest in their entire org's history, actually. So they have been incredibly hot recently. Stixxay winning Player of the Week, hasn't died in his last 5 games. Gori's been incredible ever since they came back. And so this is a really difficult test for Cloud9 to kind of like bring this player out in.
It's also super interesting because with Golden Guardians, they have said, like, we actually don't like that we face the best teams up front without our starting roster. This is kind of a redo for them to prove themselves against the best.
And just look at those Stixxay stats. 5 games in a row with 0 deaths. I think I mathed it out earlier, 24, 31, 37 kills, 0 deaths in his last 5.
Crazy.
This is a good KDA.
Absolutely amazing play by him and huhi.
Well, you guys hype for another, actually, the Nidalee hover is interesting. It's probably not going to go through. Yeah, I was going to say, are you hyped for another Lucian Nami?
Versus Zeri Lulu, maybe?
Lulu. Let's go!
Oh, man.
This is why
I'm not at all sick of watching this in any league.
This is why we prepared a bunch of graphics for the start of the Champ Select in case we got one of the handshake ones, as we are indeed getting there. We have one more we can talk about, Gori in the mid lane. We'll have to see what he breaks out, because that will be the opponent that Emenes has to prove himself against. Gori in the last 5 games himself has actually been incredible as well.
Yeah, his own performance the last in Super Week was beautiful to see. They play around him pretty consistently. We also heard from Golden Guardians team about basically how they communicate. Stixxay was talking about that's one of their concerns, because they, like Stixxay and Licorice, need to be clued in because they speak jungle, mid, support in Korean. To like basically rotate around him, make it very clear and quick plays around Gori and to support him. So he is their focal point. When they brought him on, it really started to get going. And so this is a big reason why Golden Guardians is performing as well as they are today. So yes, Stixxay is really benefiting. He's playing out of his mind, but huhi has been having an amazing split alongside River and Gori.
And this is the most handshake draft,
Yep.
for sure.
This is 2 of the most
Control
played
C,
junglers.
Control V, the 2 most played bottom lanes, and 4-5 is where teams, you might be able to prepare for it this season because the first 1, 2, 3 handshakes happen so often, but so much of this is done live. So at the moment, it looks like all the 4-5 bans are going towards mid lane and focusing in on the Emenes versus Gori matchup. I'm really curious, and Raz, what do you think? What is Golden Guardians going to blind pick versus counter pick, do you think? I almost want to counter pick Emenes in your first game, but it does seem like his champion.
Nah, Licorice is getting that blind pick. No, he's getting the blind top. Get up there, Licorice.
We might even see like a blind Gragas or something like that. That is something I'm expecting, so they can look for a Yone encounter. But I think they're just going to challenge the pool. I'm surprised they didn't ban the LeBlanc. Perhaps just to set up for a better tank option in the top side of the map.
Okay.
Funny enough, I think Cloud9 would probably go for an Azir pick.
I mean, they like Fudge getting counter pick a lot of the time. Yeah, you're right, Mark.
Yeah, come on, you know that they're
Yeah.
Emenes versus Gori in the mid lane. They want counter pick, both of them. So no surprise there. The Jack's going in blind.
I thought for sure it was going to be Licorice with the Gragas pick so they can go for a front to back, but it's going to be the opposite.
A really small point. I don't know if it'll happen, but Gragas was played mid
Faker.
Just last night
Twice
in
in a row.
LCK. So I did want to throw that out there before we see what is locked in. It's not
You were
gonna happen
close.
here.
You said Azir, you got Viktor. Not that wrong.
There we go.
Sad.
There we go. The comp just works with a control mage,
Yeah.
especially since he needs the blind pick. So as much as everyone wants to see that flashy assassin, not going to be the case.
It's clearly a front-to-back team fight comp once you lock in the Gragas with the Lulu, Zeri, Wukong. You know, like, it does make sense to just get some more consistent magic damage in there. Looks like we're gonna have a pretty straight-up team fight comp for both teams. Golden Guardians have a little bit more side lane
Golden
potential.
Guardians is so much more short range. I think the Sylas is good. He can get Lulu ult and Gragas ult are pretty good
Viktor
use
ult.
cases. And you probably don't want to go Azir without a strong front line. So I think I support the Sylas pick.
Yeah, it's just a Gori game. It really has to be because, you know, Jax is not going to get too much topside. It's just going to be like, oh, I love that.
Drawing, yeah.
Maybe he sees it.
No,
yeah,
it's
you
locked
can't really
in.
get
He's
too much
locked in.
topside because, you know, Fudge is just going to be able to stop a counter, like a side lane split push at all costs with Gragas. So I just love C9's draft a lot more.
Yeah, I was gonna say, in all drafts where the trade happens, I almost entirely always side with Zeri Lulu.
All right, well, we'll see if
Safe
Cloud9 can pick up their first win with their new substitute mid laner, Emenes. Take it away, Flowers and Azael.
Thank you very much, Mark, and everybody else over there in the analyst lounge area zone. I didn't really pay attention when they told us what to call it.
Analyst location.
The analyst location. All right.
The place
Coming
with
to a
Mark
map
in there.
near you. Yes. Where Mark and everybody else lives. All right. So we're back from there. We're back to here. We're back to Azael. And we're back for game number 3 of the day. It's Cloud9 versus Golden Guardians. In so many previous splits, Isaac, a lot of people would consider this a beatdown game. Cloud9's usually at the top. Golden Guardians are often at the bottom. But Golden Guardians have been looking good lately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a 5-game winning streak now, I do believe, for them. And 5-2 with Gori, you know, since he came in. The 2 losses, he had pretty much straight up come off
just
a
walked
flight,
off the plane.
went to the place, went to sleep, woke up, had not scrimmed with the team, and came and played LCS.
It's just like, all right, dude, get in there. Good luck.
So you're going to kind of give him a pass on the L.
Yeah.
At least I am. So to me, this is the first real challenge because now they're playing teams at the top of the table here, and they're playing Cloud9. You know, they have been doing really, really well, but those 5 games were all against lower-ranked teams, right? So we know that they are clearly not a bottom team. They are looking good. They are looking like they are, you know, a strong middle-of-the-pack team. To prove that they can really take it to the next level, these are the kind of teams you got to beat.
Dude, they updated our pictures. I have a beard in mine now. Look at that.
Whoa!
They've been using the same picture for so long, and they're going after Berserker for so long. They force out the flash from both C9 bottom laners at level 1. Golden Guardians gets a nice little reward for themselves early.
Yeah, I mean, Gore's saying, you want to talk about Emenes? What about me? Level 1 roam down the bot lane here, pre-minion spawn. And Cloud9 just was not expecting it. They wanted to play for side lane brush control. It is so important in these double range bot lane matchups. Who actually controls that side lane vision? Who's going to get their ward down? Golden Guardian just sent the extra man. If there was multiple people there, they wouldn't have had to commit to it. They see that they have the extra man. They force both flashes. And now, what can be kind of more of a skill-based matchup, I think gets swung very heavily in the favor of Golden Guardians.
And I'm excited to see Emenes on this pick specifically for his first debut game. Viktor's not one of those champions that's generally a super flashy big deal, but he is one of those champions who, if he's not properly controlled early on, becomes a big deal later on in the game. And so I've heard so many compliments about this guy's mechanical skill, about his ability to play the game. All of the questions, all of the concerns about Emenes are about his ability to function in a team environment to the best of his ability, right? So I want to see, is there such thing as Chad Viktor? And if so, will we get it here today?
There is not, unfortunately.
Don't do this. Come on, man. Let me live in my imaginary world.
He's going to stand near his tower and farm for a while. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I mean, here's the thing, right? You know, you want to see a guy who's known for solo kills and known for his lane dominance come in and play really, really aggressive. Yeah. And so far, he has been able to do that. You know, in this lane, he's getting the advantage of it. Most of these Viktor lanes are really just down to how many lasers do you hit, how many E's can you hit. Because if you can constantly land those on your opponent, you are going to chunk them down. You're really going to tax Sylas' resources. But the reality is also that when you're coming into the LCS, it is a much higher level of player that he is going to be playing against than he was in Academy. So he can't just run over all the games, you know, in Assassins necessarily. You've got to be able to play the control mages as well. And River now going to try to punish bot. They know there's no flash on either, but great positioning from C9.
Yeah. C9 being able to respond, chunk Stixxay down more. Even though it's Golden Guardian sending the extra man down here, I think it's C9 who ends up better on the health bars.
Absolutely, and I just love the positioning. You know, they have this ward here covering. They didn't want to actually put it fully in try. They put the ward there, and normally that wouldn't be enough time, but because they hugged the very bottom side of the lane, that ward gives you enough warning when they're coming through Tri Brush. This is getting really spicy. Licorice has probably got to leave here. I mean, Fudge is getting low in mana, but the W basically costs nothing. Yeah. So you always have to be worried about this, and I'm not sure if Fudge is actually playing Biscuits or not, but if he is, I can actually really check. If he has a Biscuit come through, he could have enough mana to kill you all of a sudden, and he is playing Biscuit delivery, so.
We've got the cookies. What is the timer on those? As somebody who never lanes, I don't.
It's every 2 minutes until 6 minutes.
Every 2 until 6.
So he gets one at 4 minutes.
All right, so that's not too bad. Then he'll be able to eat one of the cookies here soon. Come on, cookie spawn. There it is. All right, so if you're like me and didn't know exactly the timers on those, that's what they look like. Fudge easily able to disengage the potential stun there from the counter strike. Gragas' body slam, for those who don't know, overrides almost, if not every single other movement ability in the game. If you're trying to leap strike at him or anything else, he can just shut it down. His
belly out there.
His belly hits first. That's the rule with
the belly is unstoppable.
The belly has more AoE than every other thing in this game about like gods and warriors. It's just the unstoppable
like
belly.
Who's just as large as the galaxy.
Yeah, it's just
no,
like
no.
Superhero space dragon versus one large man. The large man wins.
But unfortunately, one large man is losing this lane actually pretty heavily. And this is actually really well done by Licorice. He's been able to actually fight this out very, very well, getting a number of grass procs. And he's actually taxed the mana so heavily of Fudge while keeping his health high enough that Fudge can't actually crash the wave. And he's already down 2 full waves, which is pretty surprising. You know, yes, you expect sometimes with Gragas' kind of awkward last hitting that you're going to go down a little bit. But you definitely did not want to be going down this far on the first buy because Licorice is going to come back with a much better buy now. He's going to try to TP and likely try to defend the crash, and if he's able to do so, that's going to be really tough for Fudge.
And especially with it being these 2 players, man. When you think about the first half of Spring Split so far, Fudge has pretty consistently been a bright point for Cloud9. He's found a lot of fights, he's found a lot of angles, he's found a lot of wins.
Best top laner in league, I think.
Yeah, and Licorice has been more of a weak spot on Golden Guardians. A lot of times if you look at their games where they struggle, a lot of people are going to point fingers over to him as the guy who has the most room to make improvements. And so if Licorice is starting off by dunking on Fudge in the lane, hey, that's a great sign for these guys.
It absolutely is, and I agree. You know, I'm a big fan of Licorice, but he has had, I think, a tougher season, you know, even over a lot of these games. He has been falling prey, I think, to a lot of ganks, and even when he is creating individual advantages, he sometimes can't really kind of extend those and turn them into a team advantage. He's got to be careful here, as he does want to fight to keep that wave, you know, from crashing, but because he has no idea of where the jungler is, he intelligently will just allow it to crash, so that is the right move. It's not what you want to do, but it is what you have to do, because if you're playing, you know, in the middle of that lane without knowing where the jungler is and Gragas is 6, you're going to die.
And I mean, that's a big part, especially in top lane because the lane is so long, is that discipline, being able to understand when you need to make the quote-unquote wrong choice because it's right once you have that perfect information. Disengage from Fudge, topside, ulti's being traded back and forth. Stixxay has Zven low, forcing the Lulu to use both summoner spells, flashing back underneath the turret to survive.
I mean, River has been down here, I want to say like 3 times. He's come down a lot. You know, I guess 2, you can maybe say 2 because the first time it was like kind of 2 trips, but it's pretty much at the same time.
Yeah.
But he has been spending a lot of time down there, but Blaber's not really created any sort of farm advantage, you know, with that. So River is being very efficient with his time. And it's, again, another summoner force. It's not a kill, but they're up nearly 700 gold. They are going to try to challenge here at the Dragon, but Gori's around, and they have the extra man with their bot lane here.
Yeah, Golden Guardians just bring more men over to the battlefield, and that means they'll force the flash out of the C9 mid laner. Emenes just has to retreat here. Blaber leaves his clone inside the pit, but nothing else. The Drake's down nice and low. The smite's ready from River, and Golden Guardian's gonna force their way into that first neutral objective.
I'm pretty surprised that Cloud9 even tried to actually attempt fighting that out because Zven had been pushed back to base, had no sums, and he was nowhere near. As Licorice having to be a little bit respectful now as you know, the burst can be quite high from this Gragas, but you said it earlier, they did trade the alties there. You know, Licorice doing a good job getting pretty aggressive, but the nice disengage ult from Fudge kept him safe. Didn't have to actually blow any summoners. But the story is still the farm. You know, it is still that 2.5 wave or so advantage for Licorice. And he should be able to be back with enough time to catch this crashing wave on top side. So Golden Guardians doing a really good job thus far. You know, slight advantages in some of these lanes have built up to a couple hundred gold lead.
Couple hundred gold feels good for the Golden Guardians with no kills on the board just yet. That first Hex Tech Drake feels really nice for legitimately every champion on the Rift. Everybody loves ability haste, and even the attack speed is useful for everyone during the laning phase, just making sure that you're maximizing what you're getting out of that farm. We do have the Rift Herald finally alive on the map, 8 minutes, 15 seconds into the game. Because the first Drake was taken so early, it's not necessarily going to be that handshake that's often seen over the neutral objective.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll have to see, if Golden Guardians want to actually move up. Stixxay was at least faking a base. He's going to be forced to stop there by Zven. Now I don't expect him to actually complete the base. Yeah, he's just going to wait around. They got to farm that wave. If he was going to, in fact, recall before, he definitely is not now. Yeah. There are too many minions there. You'd be giving up a plate or two, plus losing a lot of XP, so not going to be worthwhile. We can see River is already on the Herald, though. Feels like he has enough prio from topside. And Emenes is mid lane, so even though he is still currently around, Emenes could not fight. He has no flash, he has no TP. Gori is just arriving back in mid lane, so there's not going to be a fight. It's just the tempo is better from Golden Guardians, and they're set up better to respond. So Cloud9 going to have to give that one away, and it's going to be back-to-back neutrals to Golden Guardians. A really promising start.
One thing that I also want to point out here, because of the nature of the summoner spells that everybody has, top lane TPs are synced up. They both teleport back at the same time. Mid lane's a bit of a different story. Gori is about to have his teleport ready to go, and there's still a couple of minutes left on the teleport of Emenes. And that means that Golden Guardians could try to make a move with that Sylas earlier. Of course, we're still 4.5 minutes away from the Unleashed teleports. It's really where you start to see those. So it almost has to be a punish for a dive or something.
Yeah, exactly. You could look for a punish for a dive. Potentially, maybe at this next dragon or something like that. Sometimes you can bail your top laner out of a bad situation. As you mentioned, he doesn't have TP. Yep. So if Licorice gets chunked down, he can actually take a base, go mid, and you can have Gori TP top, and you can do some things like that. So there are still advantages you can gain. But of course, pre-14, it is difficult to really find big ones.
Yeah, Fudge and Licorice. Licorice jumping away to guarantee the angle on the explosive cast does not knock him back towards Fudge. If he doesn't get out and get that angle, he could be in a whole lot worse of a spot. Emenes walking away with 200 HP. The Nami wave comes flying in. It's first blood over to Golden Guardians. Blaber flashes back underneath the turret, but they're ready to keep on chasing. Huhi picks it up, and Golden Guardians get 2 for 1.
Nicely done. Golden Guardians able to punish the missing flash there on Emenes. That is really, really big. Getting that Viktor on the back foot here. You want him playing scared. You want him to be, really worrying about moving out in these dangerous situations. He is stepping out to actually clear that ping. River goes in as soon as the ward is down, so he just doesn't see him. Gori steps around, gives him the vision to ult over the wall. So really nice tag team play there with huhi moving up. Even though Blaber was around, Blaber does get the 1 kill back, but you're never really going to be able to win it out in this 1v2. Even with the tower shot, not quite enough. Unfortunately, Gori gets neither of those kills, but it is still a gold positive play for the Golden Guardians. But good things for C9 on the top side is that Fudge is starting to work his way back up into this matchup, really starting to chip away at Licorice and is closing that farm lead slightly.
And even though Gori didn't get the kills, he got the Everfrost. It's the first major item of the game completed, and it's such BS to play against on Sylas. I'm not even going to bother mincing words or being politically correct about it. It's just obnoxious to deal with. It guarantees he's going to hit the E2. It sets him up, and you can see they're forcing Emenes back again. They take his flash again, and they're keeping the pressure applied to this Viktor.
Yeah, and they forced that flash because he didn't know if River had his ulti yet. River didn't have his ulti for a couple seconds, but that's basically impossible to time, and now Blaber in trouble. There's the Everfrost.
There's the Everfrost. There's the E2. There's an interactive gameplay experience for a jungler. Yeah, I'm still mad.
Yeah, I can tell. Well, another kill Golden Guardians way. They are really pressuring Emenes, saying, welcome to the LCS, buddy. Congrats. It's a different story up here, but Emenes looking to try to get a kill. Will be pushed back again, though, by River. River's been playing well around Gori, and this is one of those things. When you're playing melee versus range, you have to be able to play aggressive. And often that means your jungler has got to be around you so that you're enabled to play aggressive. So you're not just jumping in for this trade and dying when the enemy jungler is there. You've got to be protected.
You can't just throw yourself into the meat grinder. If you're coin flipping, something's probably not going right during the setup phase, because that's not generally the outcome. But Golden Guardians, things have changed a little bit up here in the top side. Licorice has been having a much harder time after the initial laning phase stages as he flashes away from the ulti of Fudge. All right, how's it? So remember, even though it looks like, maybe Licorice can jump back in with an empowered leap strike and hit him, the belly is bigger. every single time. If Fudge decides to
Fear
use
the
his
belly.
belly, the lamp will fail.
Yep. Yeah, and Licorice basically flashed over the ultimate there to try to avoid the disengage and try to get that solo kill, but then Fudge flashed away, and now Emenes in trouble!
Oh my god, it's just so powerful. He just jumps on him, guarantees the damage from the Q-Max Q2 proc, and destroys that Viktor. Gori is fearless. He knows how far ahead he is now.
Yeah, Gori is stomping in mid lane here early on, really getting the better of Emenes, who has just been punished so heavily for missing summoners.
Yeah.
They're forcing out those flashes, and then they're just relentlessly attacking him, and Gori now is pretty far ahead. You know, it's 1,400 gold lead in that mid lane, so he's just going straight at him. He's just gonna force Blaber to be there every single time to try to cover him, and he won't be there every single time, so Emenes getting solo killed up here.
He's got a lot of health.
Yeah, he's about 60-70% HP, wants to stay around and try to clear this out, but gets tagged by the absconded Duck, and once one connects, the next is guaranteed to. There's the Everfrost, it guarantees both parts of the queue, as you pointed out. The Kingslayer comes through for the execute, just beautifully played there by Gori. And when you're this far behind as Viktor into that Sylas, you've got to be playing very respectfully. You absolutely cannot get hit by that E2. He does. And now they're going to try to bail him out by moving him into a different lane because they know he can't really compete with the Sylas anymore. They're going to shift the lanes around. They're putting Fudge in that side lane against him, which is not going to be fun for Fudge by any means, but it's more okay if your Gragas falls behind than it is your Viktor.
Right, Gragas still is going to have the utility. He's still going to be able to cause some ruckus in the fights a little bit, but Viktor has just got to scale up.
But it is worth mentioning that this is not tank Gragas. This is AP Gragas, so it's still going to be pretty rough if Fudge falls too far behind. He is going to be likely building toward that Everfrost first, almost always. And as you say, you'll always have the utility, but when you're AP, you want to have enough gold income that you can quickly get to Azonias, quickly get to some of these, utility items that are going to allow you to have some survivability in that fight.
Right.
And you also want to have enough power behind your combo that when you're going in, you are actually threatening lethal on some of these players.
There's a big difference between seeing the Gragas engage in the full combo and knowing, hey, this might hurt, but we can regroup after, or no, you can't be hit by anything because you'll die. It changes the entire way you have to play the fight. And right now, Golden Guardians are almost 3,500 gold ahead at 15 minutes. They're absolutely clobbering Cloud9 early. They're going for their second Rift Herald of the game. They already got their second Drake of the game. C9 is just struggling all over. Top lane at least sort of leveled out, but as you were saying, the lane assignments have switched.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Fudge had started to win in the 1v1, right? He was struggling as far as farm went on early on, but he had started to win in some of those chip wars. Licorice was giving about as good as he got. Was pretty close. That tower's dead, though. Yeah. And they're just going to keep the pressure on Emenes here. He's got to leave, and he will do so, so he should stay safe. You can't go in on that because there's no follow-up, but with plates already down, they're just going to follow him around the map. Just don't allow the Viktor to have a safe place to farm, and this is really smart stuff from River. It's a little bit of kind of picking on the new guy, realizing that there's going to be more nerves, there's going to be that discomfort. But huhi is here. Can they take this 1v2?
Oh, yes, they can do a ton of damage there. huhi's back had nearly completed, but they show up just a little bit too early, and that meant that huhi knows to stick around. He fires off the wave from where they can't see him, and Blaber takes a huge chunk. C9 immediately has to back off.
Yeah, Blaber getting chunked down very, very low. Gori just trying to bait that in that, what Cloud9 thought was a 1v2, but clearly was that 2v2, and then Licorice even really quickly committed with the teleport.
Yeah.
Honestly, at the end of the day, it's still a good play for Cloud9 because they get the TP out and they do survive, so they're not going to be too concerned about it. Yes, their look for an assassination that side lane did not work out, but you force Summoner, you're feeling okay about it, and we'll see when they can find their opportunities because this is one of those games I think Cloud9 has had a number of games where they're falling a little bit behind, and it can kind of depend on the Berserker, but this lead is of a different magnitude. It is a very, very big lead that has opened up. Pre-20 minutes 4K is tough.
Oh, that's tough too. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Tower gone as well, man. This is going to be like 5.5K lead for Golden Guardians, and we had the questions, can they compete with the big dogs in the league? Very clearly, yes.
Dude, they're just absolutely smashing C9 here so far. The third Drake of the game about to spawn here in 35 seconds or so. I'm going to put you in the hot seat for a second, Isaac. Do you think Cloud9 even wants to fight this? Because they're so far behind.
I don't think you can. I think you're way too far behind. Especially because there's not even like 2 items on Berserker. If Berserker was at a really strong point, then maybe. But I would be pretty surprised. I think it's a very uphill battle. and they have no vision, really. They have, you know, an eye on river there, but they've got no wards in the river itself. So I think it would be very, very difficult to actually make it happen. I think if they do fight, as long as Golden Guardians puts pressure on Berserker, I don't think anyone else really has the damage to actually get a team fight victory for Cloud9.
Yep. Worth pointing out, we have the completed Zhonya's Hourglass for Gori. Massive playmaking tool, allows him to just dive in and not be under a whole lot of threat. You've also got a stopwatch for Emenes, but he only has one completed item compared to the 2 full completed items of his counterpart. Gori with a stolen ulti, knocks away Fudge and Blaber, turns around for a little bit more damage onto the C9 jungler. Emenes just dies. Gori disengages, getting himself back. He's knocked back into the fight. A nice ulti there. They're going to guarantee the kill now with Berserker. Golden Guardians falling apart here a little bit as C9 out team fight him. C9 gets 3 for nothing, and C9, no matter what happens, man, Berserker always finds his play.
Oh my God, Gori just got way too confident there. He was trying to zone basically 1v4. He ends up having to spend the Zhonya's, and then it's just a perfect ultimate from Fudge. Yeah, Berserker got the kills, but Fudge is the one who really set him up there. The beautiful ult, and it wasn't just 3 kills. That was at least 2 shutdowns, if not 3 shutdowns.
Yeah, you said you wanted Zeri to have 2 items. I think Zeri's got 2 items when she goes back to the shop.
Yeah, Zeri's got 2 and then some. So let's watch this one more time. I mean, Gori initially, I thought they were just going to zone with the culling, throw out the ult defensively, and then all kind of congregate. But things get kind of weirdly split up. Gori ults in Fudge a little bit aggressively. I'm not sure if that was intentional. And then I don't know what Emenes is doing here on the side. He's just stepping up 1v3, trying to actually take down Stixxay. You are not that fed, my man. And then that ult was so nice. Not only does it actually soften up Stixxay so that you get the kill with a laser, it knocks back in the Sylas, gets you that kill as well, and then another shutdown onto River here. So that is just beautiful, beautiful stuff. Big mistake from Emenes, and honestly, a pretty big mistake from Gori. He kind of served himself up with the stolen Gragas ult.
Both mid laners put themselves on the buffet cart that time around. It's a little unfortunate for them, but as you pointed out, it was Fudge setting it up so Berserker could knock it down. And now we're at a point where even if you are 3,000 gold behind, you've got Berserker being the man who has the opportunity to carry the whole game.
Yeah, so he just got 2 shutdowns plus the kill, plus the assist gold. You know, bounties were available there. And all of a sudden, I mean, I don't know if we can bring up the gold graph, but Berserker is the richest man in the game, right? It is no longer Gori, because Berserker already had perfect farm, and then you give him a couple shutdowns on top of that. Now he really is. Yeah, you're still up 2.5k. Golden Guardians are still in it with a chance, but you're not at soul point, and the strongest member is the Zeri on a guy who we've seen get countless pentas, it feels like, on this champion.
Yeah.
Cloud9 have a very clear win condition.
Well, Golden Guardians have a very clear target. They immediately go in. Vi came back into pro play initially to target Zeri, and that's what she's doing here again today. Emenes, man, what are we doing? What are we doing?
He TP'd in early. I think he was hoping that maybe he could bail him out. He's thinking, all right, my carry's under attack. I'm going to TP in. But the problem is, he TP's in. No one else is even around. So it's a 1v4, and this just means that now you can't even stop them from doing Baron. If Emenes is alive, you know, maybe those 4 members can actually push them off of Baron, because it is a very early Baron, which is risky to do.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, both carries dead. There's no way Cloud9 can stop you from doing Baron, so it's a freebie here for Golden Guardians. Yeah, you got to turn on bot side, but the lead is going to be extended right back to where it was. And now you have the Baron to collect even more gold here. So what wasn't into the game, quickly thrown away.
River using the Vi ulti to find the Zeri, the follow-up from Stixxay, who, remember, was the MVP of week number 4, our super week. Over the course of those 3 games, he died all of 0 times. The man's got the ability to follow it up here for the damage, and this is just easy peasy for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit of greed. I mean, the members from Cloud9 were up here, right? Like, there was no one actually close to that. And then you're looking at Emenes. He's trying to TP in on this ward to try to bail out Berserker. I mean, his hope is very clearly, I can get in here, you know, maybe Zven and Blaber can come down, but there was no flash on Berserker, so there's no real way out. Berserker, I think, felt like, hey, I can step up from this wave, and then if I'm in trouble, I can just get back and dash over the wall.
Yeah.
But you can't get back there that fast without flash, and Fudge now in some trouble, potentially.
Fudge getting away from the bubble, from the tidal wave follow-up, so the Nami ulti's not going to be available here for a little bit, but Golden Guardians still has Baron buff up and running on everybody here. They're going to mount up with the 4-1 split. You've got River sort of hovering a little bit between both sides. but the Jax pressure in mid lane from Licorice, they're just going to try to shove this up, clear this out, make sure they're taking even more. Emenes will be the one having to deal with clearing out those minions in mid on his own, while the rest of Golden Guardians pressures the rest of Cloud9 in the bottom lane. Gori with a stolen Gragas ulti just to knock him back away, give Golden Guardians the opportunity to finish taking this turret. Cloud9 looking for a chance to jump on him if they get greedy for that last auto attack. So they're just gonna let the cannon minion take care of it. River jumps in, but he won't find anybody on the back end of things. Golden Guardian seems content with the tier 2, so now they're gonna rotate more men over to mid, try to take that tier 2 as well.
Yeah, just using this Baron really to try to extend that gold lead. That's generally all those early Barons are for. You get a lot of gold for actually killing the Baron itself. You get 1.5k or so. And then you're able to try to knock down some towers. They're taking over the enemy jungle. You can see bot side jungle here. Look at the wards. It's basically all red team wards. It's all Golden Guardians wards. Cloud9 is getting shut out of their own jungle, and that is kind of the knock-on effect of this siege, is that you're sieging mid tier 2, bot tier 2, but you're losing control of your own jungle. So all of a sudden, it is not just the towers that are giving gold to Golden Guardians. They're farming 3/4 of the map. They're farming the extra quadrant of jungle. So your jungler starts to fall behind. Their carries start to really get accelerated as well.
And that's the thing to always remember when you're losing these neutral resources, whether it be the big ones like Heralds and Drakes, or whether it be just your small camps. It's not just them getting 100 gold for taking chickens. You're losing 100 gold. The game is balanced around both sides having these resources available. Yeah, 200 difference between where you could have been and where you are. And the Golden Guardians now see their opportunity to grab the third Drake of the game. Very important that Cloud9 got that last one in that miracle fight with the angle that they found with Fudge and Berserker. Otherwise, that would have been Ocean Soul for Golden Guardians, and they would have had some real problems on C9. As Gori goes over the wall, Fudge looks to disengage, and that'll be enough to get him away from Sylas.
Yeah, well played on the disengage ult there. Is pushing Gori back. No shot in the 1v1. Gori almost has his death cap. I mean, this is not even 25 minutes in, and he's going to have that death cap very, very soon. He's already got 550 gold, so just needs another 500 or so in the bag there, and he'll be able to pick up that death cap, and then he is going to be monstrously strong, especially if he hits 16. The ulti cooldown starts getting really low, plus with all that AP behind it, it'll be very, very difficult to deal with this guy. Cloud9, it's kind of just all eggs in the Berserker basket, but when Gori is this fed and you have a Vi, you kind of just have to ult onto Berserker, just go. Just throw a stolen Viktor ult on him, anything like that to push him out of the fight. And it becomes very, very difficult for Cloud9 to really have anything to say about it, right? Even if Berserker doesn't die, but he's just having to run, well, that creates the freedom for Stixxay and Gori and Licorice and all these guys who have a lot of gold to really just do whatever they want in the fight.
So this part of the game is what I'm most interested in, because we've seen so many situations like this before in the LCS, where a team who is traditionally a lower tier team has an advantage over one of the ones that's usually at the top. And it's this part of the game, it's this 20 to 30 minute area where a lot of times the traditionally lower tier teams struggle. They don't know how to close the game, they don't know how to push the lead forward. They end up making one of those mistakes because they're not used to playing from these positions as much, that ends up throwing that lead away. So the big thing I'm watching for Golden Guardians here is team cohesion. Make sure nobody's in some stupid spot with no wards. Make sure nobody's out making a play when nobody's within 2 seconds to follow up, right? As long as they can play clean from here, I think they got this.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I think thus far, they have been pretty darn clean, right? We just want to see them continue to make those similar setups that they had already at the last couple Dragons. They've been really good at actually clearing out vision. They're getting prio, they're pushing out the waves, then they're moving into the river, taking over vision, right? They have mid-shove with Stixxay, so huhi and River move up here. They try to control this area. These are the kind of ways that you want to see teams get vision. It's not just a flip where they're just walking straight in with no pressure, right? They're forcing someone to show on mid-wave, then they're moving in so they always have numbers, and this is the intelligent way to get vision. But as that wave gets answered, now it's Cloud9's turn to try to move forward, to try to get some wards in this area, to hope to keep some eyes on anything like a potential Baron, because Baron is that next objective on the table here. And it is one that likely Cloud9 would want to try to prevent, that would want to try to fight. Because even though Soul is that bigger ticket thing, if you let them get Baron, you're going to lose full map control, and likely the Soul will be theirs right after it.
I feel like it's guaranteed. If they have the Baron, then they have a full, 90 seconds to just prep the whole map to be able to set up for the Soul. Licorice does a good job making sure that they can't really jump on and punish him for much there. The tier 2 mid is going to fall to the minions, as Golden Guardians had just enough guys nearby to reinforce and guarantee that that one's going to happen. Licorice is going to get the bottom wave shoved up now with 4 seconds left until the Baron spawns. The rest of Golden Guardians are in the blue side jungle of C9. They're putting down vision. They're clearing away any sort of bastion of defense that Cloud9 might have. There's one ward left in the jungle of C9. Gori's going to walk over it right now. The sweeper may have seen it. Yes, they're marking it. Okay, you can see that, so they're aware that it's there. Gori tries to go back over the wall with the E2. He's just immediately ready and waiting. He has to flash away. Golden Guardians cannot finish the objective. Gori used his flash there, so everybody else has to back out.
So they do push him off, but here's the thing. So yes, they got the flash off Gori, but it's the ult from both Blaber and Emenes. So they can't really fight right now. So they may just start this back up and say, what do you got now, right? Gori can just TP back in. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to say, you can't fight without Wukong ult and Viktor ult. And Licorice here is on the flank here.
Licorice goes in and he finds Emenes. He's ready to go right after the Cloud9 mid laner where the rest of the team is going to be separated. Blaber goes back over the wall. Licorice under pressure, not able to find the kill of Berserker here just yet, who has to flash back over the wall. Now Fudge is tanking up. Licorice could still be in trouble. He flashes back.
Oh, Berserker!
Away, but Berserker maybe it's prime time to get it done. Stixxay gets a kill on Blaber. It's 2-0 for the Golden Guardians, and the Zeri can't pop off. GG are right back onto the Baron.
Yeah, and Berserker there, he had a lot of members low, but he could not chase because he knew Gori was to the side there. He knew there was no eyes on Gori, and if he actually chases in towards that pit to try to finish off the kills, Gori's behind him, and he knows he'll die. He had already spent both his summoners, so even though that was close to one of those Zeri moments, he realized that he was kind of checkmated in that situation by the positioning of Gori. It is now a 9,000 gold lead. Baron taken by Golden Guardians. 16 seconds until Soul. They're looking like they have this game.
Holy hell, man. Golden Guardians coming into the second half of the split with that same mojo they had at the end of the first half. Here's C9 walking up, trying to stop him.
Yeah, but it's the pressure here from Licorice coming in from behind. Now the fight gets very chaotic. Look at this ult from huhi. Back in onto Emenes, actually helping Licorice pressure him. Emenes has to actually try to get out of there. Berserker goes back, but then Licorice just jumps in, finishes off Emenes, and all of a sudden he's right in on top of him as well. And then this is the situation I'm talking about. Look at where Gori is playing. Gori's playing right in this area. Berserker's coming up through here, but he can't actually chase because if Berserker chases forward into that area, Gori will come in behind and you will get killed there, guaranteed, with no summoners and no dash. Really well played. Rivers loving it. He's been having a really, really good game. You know, the scoreline may not be as impressive, but Rivers set up so many of Golden Guardians plays from the early leads that he actually got Gori to, you know, after Berserker gets the triple kill, he's the one finding the pick on a mid lane. He has been very, very good for Golden Guardians all split long. And this is kind of their marquee moment right now for Golden Guardians, being able to show that you can take down a big team. Yes, it is, with Emenes playing his first game on stage, so there's a little bit of an asterisk, but it's still a huge win that would move them within one game of Cloud9.
And it's been a rough first game for Emenes. He's been targeted. You pointed it out early on. They're just saying, hey, Viktor needs to scale to be a real champion. What if we just don't let that happen? What if we focus this guy? What if we punish summoners? As soon as summoners are up, punish them again.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that a lot of players, when they move from Academy into the LCS, will talk about, is that there's things that they did in Academy that worked for them time and time again.
Yeah.
And it feels like you are making the right play because this has worked for you week in, week out. And then you come on the LCS stage and all of a sudden, there are these holes in your game that you didn't even know were there that are getting punished. You're dying when you clear out this last wave that you could always do in Academy. You're getting ganked when you try to actually freeze this wave. It's getting reset when you do finally get the freeze. It's, you know, all these little things that are changing up the way it plays. Nice ult actually by Blaber. He used his clone to instantly interrupt Stixxay's culling there, by the way. But you know, Emenes is going to have to make some adjustments. Is basically the TLDR on that. So we have to reserve judgment a little bit, but definitely not the first game we wanted.
Well, C9 are now dug in, trying to defend against the remaining 30 seconds of the Baron buff of the Golden Guardians, who also have a 10,000 gold lead, who also have an Ocean Soul, who are also pressuring 3 lanes at once. Licorice going to get that top side shoved up, stop Emenes' defense. Only for a moment, Blaber being forces to make sure they can't do a whole lot of damage to the turret. It's the mid lane tier 3 that has suffered the most, the only one that's below half is right there. Another wave about to crash into bottom side, but the waves aren't perfectly synced up, so Cloud9 is sort of shuffling their guys around to stop each one individually. Golden Guardians bringing more guys down to the bottom lane now to see what pressure they can apply, but the Baron has now faded away. Cloud9 have weathered the storm with most of their tier 3 turrets intact as Licorice breaks the first one. They're in the top lane.
The gold lead is just so problematic, and also, who is ever going to kill Licorice in a side lane now? Right, you look at the itemization, it's like, you have 2 AP soul laners against the guy who has Mercs, a Maw, 3 items, and an Ocean Soul, right? There's just nothing that you can do. So the biggest problem is that he can basically walk up, and as long as he sees the other members on the map, he can just, in your face, start hitting the tower, because no one can really deal with the Jacks at this point in the game. MR is obviously going to be very, very efficient. Even Zeri has quite a bit of magic damage in the kit when you have the lasers coming out, when you have the ulti splash going.
Yeah.
Really the only way Cloud9 can win this game, I think it has to be an explosive engage from Fudge where you instantly kill one of the carries, and then it has to be a Zeri moment. Like that's about all you're hoping for here.
Yeah, it's kind of Berserker or bust. Nobody else is going to do the damage. Viktor's
no shot.
Viktor's 3 full items. His opponent has 4 full items. He's an entire one behind.
And the itemization is much lower damage, right? He's got Umbrellas and Azonias. This is not Deathcap Void Staff 3-item
Sylas. Yeah. That's quite different situation between the two. So keep your eyes on Berserker. If you're a C9 fan, this is where the damage has to come from. This is where the fight has to be focused.
Go to the Berserker Shrine. You know, you start giving your offerings.
Say your prayers, give your offerings, whatever it might be. Do it now because time is running out for Cloud9. The deck is stacked against them as Golden Guardians keep choking them out, forcing them back towards their own base. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds until Baron, 2 minutes until the Elder Dragon. So not perfectly synced up. If Golden Guardians can just rush the Baron down, they can easily do a double super buff and then just walk it into the enemy base.
Yeah, that'll be where I think Cloud9 will have to kind of draw their line in the sand and try to find that engage, try to find that fight. They do have some of these X-Factor champions like the Gragas. You know, if you can find that perfect body slam flash onto someone like Stixxay, chain that into the ultimate, then all of a sudden Blaber's there. Like, you have enough damage to burst down one of these squishy champions. Ocean Soul's not going to save you in those kind of situations, right? But barring that, if you can't find that perfect engage and explosively kill someone off, the gold lead is just so big. And in a long fight, Ocean Soul really does have tremendous value. So it's got to be that quick kill at the start to really have a chance here. And we'll see if they're going to be able to find that perfect engage that's required.
C9 recognizing that Baron is the name of the game, sending plenty of players top. It's Berserker who's shoving out the top side wave, so that'll be the bait if nothing else. They have guys nearby. It's Blaber and Zven both hanging out in case Golden Guardians try to dogpile on that AD carry. They're ready to stop it, but Golden Guardians are not going to fall for the bait just yet. They're placing some wards around the area. Pixel and Baron Pit are both covered. Blaber leads the way walking up. Fudge is going to find River, who does a very quick, snappy Vault Breaker to get out of the way of the body slam. Nicely done there. Fudge now walking back towards the mid lane. As the engage happens, it's Blaber looking for huhi, but River and Stixxay are ready to back him up. Wild Growth down onto the jungler, not where Cloud9 wants it, not where Cloud9 needs to be. Zven's your next target as Licorice and Gori file in from the flank, and they're running over C9. Berserker's the only one left who might be able to stop him. Can he go Berserk? He might just grab one, but no! They beat him over the head with the lamp post. They smash C9 into the ground. It's 5 for nothing, and the Golden Guardians shine bright.
What a streak from Golden Guardians. 6 straight wins, now taking down Cloud9, moving to only 1 game behind them in the standings. This team is just clicking.
Who is this team? You see the Golden Guardians, you're not expecting them to absolutely take Cloud9, throw them in the trash can, put the trash can's content into the dumpster and push it out to the curb. They smashed them.
Yeah, that was a really well played game. Gotta give a lot of credit, I think, to River. Had a hell of an early game. Was really the catalyst for, I think, a lot of the advantages that they were able to create. But it was strong laning, you know, from Golden Guardians overall. Some really creative plays mixed in. You think all the way back to level 1, it's Gori showing up bot lane, forcing both the flashes off of Cloud9's bot lane very early. Then it's River who's down there actually pressuring them, reinforcing the summoners on Zven. You know, it's this pressure that was really mounting over and over again that Gori and River were able to put on that map, and kind of it was just really impressive to see.
Yeah, Gori and River doing that. Licorice finding the flank angles that he needed to. We got the thumbs up, baby. The angles that Licorice was also finding around the team fights, being able to apply pressure, like the one fight in the top side jungle of C9, where he comes in on the flank and now everything's chaotic because, wait, our mid laner's just getting the snot beat out of him. Hold on, what's happening here? The creativity in the team fights from Licorice, the early game advantages built by Gori and by River. Stixxay continuing to just find his moment and always just be in the zone. This team is scary when they're playing like this.
Yeah, they really, really are. You know, there was the kind of that one mistake around Dragon that you criticized them for a little bit, but besides that, this was a very clean game and a very one-sided game, to be honest with you, from the Golden Guardians. You know, they're playing it out really, really well. For Emenes, you know, it's a forgettable debut. It's one he's not really going to want to dwell on too much, but it is a tough team, I think, to debut against because this is one of the hottest mid jungles in the league right now.
Right.
And they were really taking him to task. They want to focus on him.
And with Golden Guardians taking down Cloud9, it's time to remind y'all that we are officially live with tickets for the LCS Spring Final in Raleigh, North Carolina on April 8th and April 9th. Head to Ticketmaster.com right now to claim your spot.
You want to sit
and
together?
Hopefully we'll see. Yeah, dude, I think our seats might be pretty close to one another once we get there. But right now, we're joining Jatt with Huhi and Gori on stage for the Verizon postgame interview.
Thank you, CaptainFlowers. And yes, I'm here with Huhi and Gori. You guys are on a 6-game win streak. And this game in particular, it looked like you put a lot of attention mid to get Gori fed, but also to shut down Emenes. Was that a plan? What was the game plan for this game?
첫 번째 게임의 게임 플랜이 뭐였는지.
게임 플랜 그냥 승리? 그러니까 승리를 위한 플랜은 그냥 라인전 잘하고 무난하게 오브젝트 싸움 가면 이길 거라고 생각했습니다.
Yeah, so our game plan was basically like he was playing to win by like playing for objectives and like playing the laning phase well. And also like he also was mentioning earlier in before our game that he thinks Emenes will be nervous, so we just have to kind of punish that. So, yeah.
Love that answer. Also, I'm not sure if you're aware, Gori, but you lead the LCS in solo kills, even though you missed the first week of games. How have you been able to adjust so quickly to dominating the LCS?
너가 첫 주에 그 LCS를 빠졌는데도 지금 솔로킬 1등이거든. 그거에 너가 어떻게 그렇게 잘할 수 있는지.
운이 좋았다?
He said lucky. He just got lucky.
I also want to say, with the 6-game win streak, what are your expectations now for the rest of the split? How high do you think you're going to finish?
그러니까 우리가 이제 지금 6연승을 하고 있는데 우리의 지금 목표가 지금 어느 정도인지.
이쯤 됐으면 우승을 목표로 하는 것 같습니다.
He's saying right now winning LCS.
And do I have to ask you, do you think the same?
It's the same.
Man, love to hear it. 6-4, 6-game winning streak, longest win streak in the history. And I do want to ask, because this is your first split in North America, is there anything about Los Angeles or North America that you've enjoyed the most?
그러니까 너가 지금 LA에 처음 와서 북미에서 첫 시즌을 뛰고 있는데 여기서 좋은 점이 뭐가 있을까?
아무래도 새로운 지역 그냥 처음 와보는 나라니까 그거에 있어서 그냥 처음 와봤다는 것 자체에서 좀 신기하고 좀 새로운 생활이 재밌는. 네.
He just finds like everything amazing because it's his first time in LA and like experiencing new culture, like just those things in general is like kind of amazing for him.
All right, thank you for the translations, Gori. Thank you very much for the interview. Golden Guardians, 6-4, longest winning streak in the LCS. Next up, we have TSM versus COG. We'll see you on the other side.
I'd define our first round robin as sloppy, I guess. It sucks that we could be ending this round robin, I'd say 7-2. Take the wins that you can. We ended it net positive when no one thought we could. CLG is doing better than they were when we played them the last time. They've refound their same identity as last year. And I think for the C9 game, they're not as good as they were last year. There's so many times where they lose early game and then just kind of Berserker does something and they figure it out. I think Vulcan is playing well. Besides that, I want to show them like a top 3 player in my position. Now I have like a full season to show that. If I can't, it's on me. So I guess like that's my goal.